Star Wars Andor is so good it actually makes me mad. This is a show that nobody asked for, as it follows a guy we met in Rogue One who also died at the end of Rogue One. Who the hell asked for a show explaining Cassian Andor's backstory? Well, Lucasfilm did. Other than that, probably nobody. This is not the show that we wanted, but instead it's the show that we needed. I always get some flack for constantly being negative on this channel, but hey, today is a good day to be a Star Wars fan. So, did I like Andor? Yes. Yes, I did. Andor is really good, but it's honestly too good. This show has no right to be as good as it is. Anytime I was treated to a long take with great camera movement and set design, or any slow down and pace to focus on actual characters with great writing, I wanted to punch my monitor. Why the fuck did a show about Cassian Andor get so much love, attention, and effort when the return of Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen was relegated to whatever could fit on a glorified soundstage with LCD screens? We may never know. Andor has set a new bar for Star Wars Disney Plus shows in my mind, so I want to go over what exactly this show has to offer for those who are still on the fence about watching it. I get it, it might be asking a lot of you to get invested in the upbringing, radicalization of, and transformation of a one-off character whose fate you already know, but bear with me because I really think that this show is going to be a serious sleeper hit and will hopefully gain more and more recognition as the episodes continue to release. I'll avoid spoiling the whole thing, but there's nothing too shocking that I could spoil. I'm mainly making this for people who have seen the show, or for those who haven't been convinced that it's worth their time. First, this is not your daddy's Star Wars. I always praised Rogue One for being a darker chapter in the franchise, but this takes it to a whole new level. The first location you follow Cassian to is a brothel, with all the implications in sight. While the direction this show begins with is new for Star Wars, it's not all that original. He's asking shady people in low places for information on his sister's whereabouts. It's been done before. So after you've shown us that the main character fucks, how do you then show that they're a morally gray character? Well, it's easy. You cross the line of conventional heroism and have them kill somebody. So after being shaken down, Cassian punches a corporate cop in the throat and he falls and dies. The other corporate cop is begging for his life and offers to report a completely alternate timeline of events, and being a reasonable guy, Cassian shoots him point blank in the fucking face. The main character of a Disney Star Wars show executes a man begging for his life. Diego Luna is giving a great performance, and honestly so is everybody else. This show also takes its time and does have a slower pace. I know some people won't like that, but it felt like a breath of fresh air. A lot of the time we're just following Cassian as he walks across this new planet called Ferrix as he goes and meets with former acquaintances, and it feels like the first time in a while that Star Wars slowed down to give us time to live in these worlds with these characters. We get to meet and interact with average people living in Star Wars, and while that may sound boring to some of you, I think it's great. I'm probably only praising the slow pace so much because I love Star Wars. So when we take a few minutes to watch someone walk through a new planet, I'm totally just glued to the screen, watching and admiring all the intricate detail around. And that's another thing about this show. The production value is insanely good. I mentioned it earlier, but this puts Obi-Wan to shame. Where before I said Obi-Wan felt cheap and cramped, this feels expensive and expansive. Your sets don't feel so cramped when you actually build them out in the open. Who would have thought? This show has very good writing. Tony Gilroy knows what he's doing. I wouldn't be shocked if this was the only project with minimal, if not zero, studio interference. This is the guy who came in late to save Rogue One from being a disaster. And you can tell which ones were done by Tony Gilroy and which ones were done by Gareth Edwards. The scene where Cassian murders his friend in cold blood, that was Tony Gilroy. The blue milk in Ponda Baba and Dr. Avazin, that was Gareth Edwards. If you can't get invested in this show because you know Cassian's fate, I feel very sorry for you, because I think this show will end up being something really freaking special. Better Call Saul is my favorite TV show of all time, so getting invested in characters who exist in a prequel to properties they don't appear in later on is not new to me. The same goes for how old certain characters look. Diego Luna is 42 years old playing a 21-year-old, but it's not that big of a deal. We're going to spend 24 episodes spanning 2 seasons over a 5-year period to ultimately witness what a man must endure and experience in his life to be willing to sacrifice it all for something greater than himself. Like I mentioned a second ago, Tony Gilroy is not focused on catering to your inner fanboy with Easter eggs and cameos galore. Sorry guys, Glup Shido does not make an appearance in Andor. Yeah, there's stuff sprinkled in the background, but from what I understand, Tony Gilroy is not really a Star Wars fan. Like I said in Rogue One, Gilroy was focused on fleshing out characters, fixing the pace and resolution, whereas Edwards was more focused on putting stuff in front of you to make you say, so rather than linger on a glass of blue milk, you'll see someone working a desk job eating blue ramen noodles. It's little things like this that come across like real world building rather than just cheap fan service. Humor-wise, I think the show's fine. Do I think a space hound peeing on a droid like a fire hydrant is funny? Well, maybe if I were like 8, but I'm not. But I'm also not that cynical. Once the gag is over, it's over. The humor of The Last Jedi is nowhere to be found here. I thought the funniest part of the show was when we were introduced to an early antagonist working in a high rank for the corporate cops, and his performance is so cringeworthy that I snorted when his superior immediately makes fun of him for tailoring his uniform. These little crypto-fascists and their exchanges have better writing than any villain had in the sequel trilogy.
Corporate tactical forces are the Empire's first line of defense, and the best way to keep the blade sharp is to use it.
This is the most mature and adult Star Wars project ever, and it's not really a competition. The first couple minutes of the show make that apparent very quickly. And the episodes don't end with familiar faces stepping out of the shadows for a quick cameo to make Twitter go apeshit. Instead, they end at points that feel natural. The ending of episode 3 with its parallel of Cassian today versus when he was a kid was very well done. This is like Star Wars made for HBO. It's not the weekly wacky adventure with the dad and his kid, it's a grounded, dark, and gritty character piece that slowly but surely turns into a political spy thriller epic. As for complaints with this show, I really don't have any right now. Of course, I could nitpick, and I'm going to for a second because when I noticed this, I immediately went back several times to see if I was tripping, and I don't think that I am. Okay, so when Cassian is a kid, he stopped from putting tribal patterns on his face, but this older girl says it's okay, and he puts it on his chin and it goes down his neck. She looks at him, he looks at her, and you can see the mark on his face. But then the next time it cuts to him, he's putting the mark on his face again? I thought maybe he only put it on his chin and was going over it again to draw it down his neck? But in the first shot, he clearly starts at his chin and goes down his neck. It's just an editing continuity error I noticed immediately, and I don't know if anyone else did either. How can I fault this show when it brings back BFAs? Big fucking aliens.
What?
I made a video a while back saying that this show had serious potential to be great, and I can't really say I told you so because, well, I didn't really tell many of you. From what I understand, this show is broken down into 4 arcs of 3 episodes, which is partly why I wanted this video out now. Overall, I had a lot of expectations for this show, and they were met and at times exceeded. And I would imagine nobody else, asked for this show to be made, but after seeing these first 3 episodes, I'm glad that it was. Thank you all for watching this video. If you like what you see, check out the rest of my content on my channel and consider subscribing. If you like this video in particular, please hit that like button and leave a comment telling me your thoughts on the show so far. I am Remnicor, I will see you all in the next one.